Alright, here goes another video. Alright, in the last video I was doing a little reflection on the first few days of setting up Hermes and using Dispatch for Claude. So, I was pretty happy with some of the setup, but then just now, there's a few little things. They're trying to figure out agent-to-agent communication. And, should I do it in a folder, like a simple folder that they share and then they can both see it? Or do I have to look into MCP? So it's a lot to learn, and it got me frustrated. It got me sitting here oh, come on, another thing or another thing. And then I'm talking with Dispatch. If you've been watching this channel, Dispatch is how I'm, connecting and just talking to Claude. Claude and, the Claude co-work on the computer could do the files, but I could talk to Dispatch. And I want Dispatch and Hermes to basically be, in sync and be able to communicate and know what's going on. So I'm trying to figure that out. Now, maybe there's already a solution out there, and I don't know about it, right? So maybe I'm trying to recreate something that's already out there. But either way, I'm just a guy. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm trying to figure it out, but everybody's got to start somewhere. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the fact that I'm even using Claude co-work, that I'm using Dispatch, that I've set up a Hermes agent, navigated the terminal, etc. I figure, that's not everybody in the world, right? Maybe it's you, maybe it's not you. Maybe this, but I know I'm just speaking for me. And I'm still frustrated because I don't necessarily always know who knows what or how they relate or what do I need to do? Do I really need to do that? Or is it just, Dispatch telling me that I got to do it, but really there was a better way. And then when I press back, it's like, oh yeah, you're right. That's a good idea. Well, why didn't you just tell me in the first place? All right. So I am taking a step away right now. And, I don't want to overcomplicate. I want something simple. Should I just be using a Hermes agent and that's it? But like I said, the reason why I'm not is because yesterday, the costs, because it's using an API through OpenRouter, I spent 15, 16 bucks on Hermes, for the setup. I get it, but I want to just have something that, my costs are somewhat reliable. You understand what I'm saying? I want to have a vague idea of what it's going to cost to keep these simple systems running. I can always build upon them in the future, but at the same time, I don't want to have to recreate the wheel. If there's already a one push button app or something that's just easy that does everything that I'm looking for anyways, do I have to keep searching for it? Where should I search for it? Basically what I've been doing is, I've been going back and forth, manually between several LLMs, right? So I'll go from the Hermes agent to Dispatch to Gemini, do some research, ask, Gemini, hey, this is what I want to do, create the prompts that I can then go give to one of the others, right? I think they're calling that meta prompting. And that's fine, but I think where my frustration is, I just want it to work out of the box. And if there already is something out there that works out of the box and I don't know about it, then I want to know about that. But if this is the best of the best, or if I'm somewhat on track of where I ought to be in 2026, May, if this is what other people deal with as well, then okay, fine, now I know, and again, as long as I know kind of where we're at, then maybe I try to keep doing things. Maybe I determine that, hey, these little things that I thought I needed to do, maybe I don't really need them now, or maybe they're not important, or pivot back again. I'm still learning, but at the end of the day, I am looking for one interface that I can just speak to and all this stuff just happens in the background. And it's smart, and it's like aware of its own doings, its own happenings, its own files. You know, so I don't know, maybe I'm not, I don't have the, like, it seems like every little thing I'm doing, there's like a limitation here or a limitation there. Oh, well, I can do all this, but I can't do that. So is that like your experience? And if not, you know, what should I be doing? Like, what should I be doing differently? You know, are there, I see a lot of folks talking about Hermes agent, and I agree. I've been playing around. It seems like Hermes is very powerful, but it is a little bit expensive to do these API calls all the time if you just want to like experiment and run, which I don't have a problem with. Or maybe I have to set up Hermes even better to do all this. I mean, do I really need, like, why do I need to do dispatch with Claude Cowork? I don't know. I'm just like, I'm getting a little confused sometimes in my own thoughts because I don't have time to process what is, what isn't, what do I know, what do I don't, like, it just, you know, it's like at the end of the day, I'm like, well, I don't even know what I don't even know what I know, and I don't even know sometimes if the words that are coming out of your mouth, right? That's what I say to my agents. Well, that's what I'm saying to them now. I don't know if the words that are coming out of your mouth, I don't even know if I can believe them or trust them, you know? And it reminds me of like a year or two ago when I was just dealing with chatbots, right? You know, we were all aware that they would sometimes hallucinate. Like, it was the same thing. It's like, well, sometimes you give me really good advice, and then sometimes you just say something stupid, and I recognize it. Sometimes you say something really good, and I don't recognize that it's bad, and I figure it out later, and then you're like, oops, oh yeah, you're right, I should have done that all along. And it's like, you know, it's those frustrations. So maybe I'm alone in this, maybe I'm not alone, maybe I'm just not doing things right. You know, maybe it's a skill issue, right? But I'm just being realistic with myself, like somebody who, you know, I didn't grow up, you know, doing all this coding and stuff. So I'm trying to play on what my strengths or what I perceive my strengths to be are. But maybe I'm falling down a trap. I don't even know. I'll ramble for like a few more minutes, and then, you know, this is more of a rambling. You know, I feel like it's like I'm coming just to like get my words out. Maybe I'll learn from them somehow. Maybe I won't. Maybe it's like just like therapy to get it off my chest and be done with it. Maybe others can relate to this, and we're all going through the same thing, and maybe we get some clarity through the therapy. I mean, it's like, you know, sometimes like in life when you just sit down with a good friend, maybe you haven't seen a good friend in a long time, and you just share, right? And it's like a different perspective, but it's a trusted perspective, and you're both kind of aware of who you are and what you do and what you can't do. And, you know, a good friend hopefully tries to give you advice, but at the same time, you know that like they're not an expert in everything, so their advice is only as good as they are. You know, but it can still be helpful. Sometimes you learn some things. I don't know. Maybe I gotta, you know, when I get overwhelmed, that's like, sometimes it's time to just take a step back. And, you know, maybe I didn't get as much accomplished today as I would have liked, you know, in terms of accomplishing things. This just seemed to be like the weather outside, very dreary, very like rainy. It's just, that's kind of been the mood of the day, and that's what's been happening on the journey today. And I'm kind of like, you know, am I really getting anywhere? But then again, when I reflect and see, well, everything that we actually did put together in the last 2 days, there are things I do think that made progress. And I do think that if I don't have to solve the whole system. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I don't have to solve the whole thing like right now. You know, there are probably, go back to the simple, you know, the simple little things like, you know, like really what I practically need is like make money, simplest way possible, you know, and it sounds like marketing, like, you know, and ideally like, how do you get leads? How do you get traffic? How do you do that? So, you know, maybe I got to just go back to there. Maybe I don't need all these systems yet set up in place. I'll come back another day. But I thought that this was almost close to being set up to the point where, you know, like I thought that not just using these things individually in their own silos, but being able to, just have like a couple little agents that do different things, but can coordinate with each other. That was kind of the goal. Because I feel that there's limitations with how smart these individual ones are and what they can do, like what their capabilities are, and like how much they cost, like how efficient they each are in doing. And I think that's like, I'm balancing, you know, these things in my head, and at the end of the day, you know, maybe this is as good as it is, or as good as it's going to get, or as good as I want it to be, because I don't want to be the one solving the problems, because there's people way smarter in systems and AIs way smarter that are doing it, and maybe it's already out there and I don't know about it. Anyways, that's all. What do you guys think? Are you going through like the same thing? Like, feel free, like, share this stuff with me. I am interested to know, like, who else is like having these things on a daily basis. Am I just crazy? Am I just stupid? Don't answer yes, but you already know the answer. Peace.